Hey everybody, I'm Sierra.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome back to another episode of The Unsolved Couple, where every week Ben and I recap one of your original gateway drugs into true crime.
Unsolved Mysteries.
Welcome back. Our air conditioner is fixed. Breaking news. Beep, 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 beep. Air conditioner is fixed.
It is.
So we're fine, everybody. Thanks for your concern.
Took almost a week.
It took almost a week because you and I, for some reason, insist on doing everything ourselves. We are both this way.
I know.
Were you raised that way? Like you don't hire people to fix things?
My parents never hired anyone.
No, my parents never. You guys even redid your own roof, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. My parents did their roof. They painted their own house.
Yeah.
The kids were involved. We were free labor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we never hired anybody. So the novelty of hiring someone it is a weird thing that I have. Like, I want to try and do it myself. If I can't do it myself, then I feel okay about hiring somebody.
Yeah.
But we did it. Air conditioner's fixed.
It's working.
Which is good because it's still 110 here in Arizona and I'm ready for Halloween. So it needs to cool
2
down.
months.
That is rude of you to say. You shut your dirty little mouth.
It's true.
I'm going to Salt Lake the end of next month, and I am...
The end of this month.
The end of this month. I guess it is August. I'm really hoping just for at least one cool, crisp day while I'm there.
Good luck.
I know. Okay, well, what are we doing today? Season 5, episode 7?
We got a crazy one. There's no dead people in this one. Well, no people that were killed.
Well, my story has someone that was killed.
Interesting.
But we're not looking for unsolved murders tonight or today.
This was their Halloween one. So we got some ghost stories.
We do have some ghost stories.
We got Amnesia. And Lost Love. That's what we got.
Did you watch next week's episode?
I watched the beginning to find out
so next
what
week
it is.
We have aliens.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this next week's episode. I mean, I like this one too. I love ghost stories, but I do love talking about aliens as well. This is what we loved about Unsolved Mysteries. We liked the true crime. We liked the paranormal. We liked the aliens.
We? You say we.
We as a collective, we as in the people listening to this. The Unsolved Couple podsters.
Not me. I'm not a part of that.
You just want to sit at the table with us.
I don't. If there was a table.
You're being forced to sit at the table.
If there was a table and it said, hey, Unsolved Mystery Fans Table, I would go as far away from that table and sit there.
Okay, but we're in high school in this scenario and you see me sit down at this table. What do you do?
I would lure you to the other table.
And what table are you sitting at?
The leave me alone, don't talk to me table.
Interesting.
My table would be
a table of one.
It would be shh.
I wouldn't sit in at your table. I like to talk.
Shh.
This would not be a good podcast if you just kept telling everybody to shush.
I probably would.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start us off with a ghost story. Fair warning.
Sierra's going to get worked up on this one.
You have permission to steer me back to the drawing board because I wrote 7 pages of notes.
Oh my word.
And a handful of the notes are not really to do with the main story, but more of side quests that I went on.
I believe it, but just tell us what Unsolved Mysteries.
I will tell you what Unsolved Mysteries. And then if you feel like chatting about it, I have other things to talk about.
Stay on track.
You guys let us know if you like my side quest. I mean, some people have in the reviews told us that they don't care for the ADHD of the female host of this, but
I love the female host of this.
Sorry. My entire personality is side quest and ADHD. So.
All right. Give us a story.
This is about a location in Moss Beach, which is around the San Francisco area. So we're going to rewind time to 1927 to the Moss Beach Distillery, which at the time was called Frank's Roadhouse. This was what we call a speakeasy. And speakeasies were very popular during what time in our history, Ben?
Prohibition.
Prohibition. And why is that, Ben?
Because alcohol was illegal.
Which is a wild concept to me that alcohol was illegal at one point. But
it's a wild concept to you today because it's so, but like back then we were a little, never mind.
That's a podcast for another day, as we like to say. So a speakeasy served alcohol. Usually a lot of the times it was kind of hidden. It was an open secret, I guess is what you would say. So various people did, or at least have recorded to have died in the distillery over the years. Allegedly, their spirits still haunt the grounds to this day. In recent years, workers at the Moss Beach Distillery have claimed to have experienced strange things. Waitresses have reported winds that swirl through the dining room when no windows or doors are open. One of the former owners claims to have seen flying objects and doors locking themselves mysteriously. And at last count, as many as 5 different ghosts have been reported lurking in and around the restaurant. I did like the shade that Robert Stack threw at the very beginning of this episode. He said, did you catch that?
He had a lot of one-liners that if you weren't paying attention, you'll miss. Because he threw some in mine. He was very
elegant at his shade throwing abilities.
I think by this time, Robert Stacks has heard so many ghost stories, and I say that with quotations.
Yeah.
He's probably like, nah.
Yeah. He said something along the lines like, my film crew and I have been here recording for like all day or all week or something, and none of us have reported seeing anything.
We haven't encountered a ghost yet.
Yeah, ghost. Yeah, exactly. So, but one of the more infamous ghosts is a woman known as the Blue Lady. She is allegedly a flapper who frequented Frank's Roadhouse. She had fallen in love with the piano player.
Isn't a flapper was a wild name to call someone.
Yes, it was. But I think it was more based on the style of the clothing that they wore and how they danced. Have you studied the 1920s or the Gilded Age or anything at all like that?
I mean, I studied it in school a little bit. So I know a little bit, but I'm not an expert.
And anything,
oh, yeah. I mean, you see it.
Women's rights and stuff like that during that time. Yeah.
It's a cool age.
Yeah. So, however, the romance between the lady in blue and the piano player had to be conducted in secret because she, according to Unsolved Mysteries, was already married to the local bootlegger. The lovers communicated in code with a simple lift of the eyebrow speaking volumes. I couldn't do that because my Botox, so I couldn't send any secret signals. On a fateful night in 1927, the woman signaled for her lover to meet her on the beach. At the time, the beach was a bootlegger's heaven. So this distillery at the time, or speakeasy, is located on the edge of a cliff, but it's like inside a cove. So it's kind of like this little sheltered area, which made it
still
ideal.
There to this day.
Yeah. So when a woman's husband had discovered that she had left Frank's Roadhouse, he made his way to the beach and questioned his cronies. And the reenactment of this is awesome. Suddenly, he sees his wife and the piano player heavily making out on the beach together. Mad with jealousy, he confronts the two. And at this moment, the lover pulls out a knife and the husband pulls out a gun. And this beautiful woman in blue stands between her lover and her bootlegged husband and tells them, please don't fight over me. And somehow, between the two men, she is inadvertently stabbed to death. What?
By her lover.
By the lover. Mm-hmm. So, this story, Robert Stacks lets us know.
Where did this story come from?
So, we can get into that later. I've got some more information on this. So, however, like Robert Stack tells us, this story is based solely on legend. Some deny that the woman ever even existed, while others claim that she haunts the beach to this day. Believers claim that she haunts the restaurant, breathing down the necks of other beautiful women that she sees as rivals to beauty of her own. Some employees claim that she calls out their name seductively when they are alone in the dining room. One waitress said that she's mischievous, but doesn't believe that her pranks are based in any kind of malice. So the former owners, Patricia and David Andrews, are interviewed on Unsolved Mysteries, and they claim to have many encounters with the Blue Lady. When they owned the Moss Beach Distillery, their family lived on the ground floor, and the ghost apparently enjoyed locking them out of their rooms. She also claimed that while she was working late one night alone in the restaurant, the checkbook that was like on an upper counter just kind of levitated and floated around into the air. She requested that the ghost return the checkbook back to its original spot, and it drifted back over and was set down quite gently. Ben, do you have any thoughts?
What do you say to that?
But you know, this is going to be surprising. No one. I believe that this probably happened.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
No, it didn't.
Why would she make this up?
Oh my gosh. No, it didn't.
Okay, so the new owner is a man named John, and he wants us to know he's the most skeptical anyone could ever be. No one has ever been more skeptical than him. My. He is the most skeptical of all the skeptics. He's the most skeptic that there's ever been.
If there's a skeptic out there, I'm the most skeptic. You've never seen a skeptic more skeptical than me.
Yeah, I love that every skeptic says that. I was actually thinking, I was like, what would Ben say if you had some crazy experience that changed your mind on something? Let's say, so Ben doesn't believe in like Bigfoot or UFO stories. So if something happened to you where you had to share an encounter that you had, how would you address that? Because you could legitimately say, I've been on record stating that I am very skeptical and that I do not buy an ounce of this.
I would say I'm the most skeptic you've ever seen.
Ben would say, I am not going to tell you anything about my previous skepticism because I don't want to sound like every other person that's ever tried to convince people that they saw something that no one believes them.
What I would do.
Okay, tell us.
I just wouldn't talk to anyone and tell people about it. I just wouldn't. Really?
Why do you think that is? Like, because you don't want to open that can of worms?
I don't know. Maybe I would tell you. I mean, I've told people stories on this podcast, so maybe I'm just a liar. But
no, I don't think you're a liar. I just think it's funny because every time I hear someone say that, I'm like, this would have to be Ben. If he ended up seeing something insane and could not like rationalize it or explain it, and the only theory you could come to is that it was some sort of strange encounter, Ben would have to be like, you guys, I am not kidding you when I tell you that I was the most skeptical a person could be.
I thought the same thing. Like, I was like, you're saying the same thing everyone says.
Yeah. So, but John says he started working there. However, his viewpoints quickly have changed since experiencing several unexplained occurrences. On the cliffs outside the restaurant, there was some neighborhood children that once claimed that they saw the Blue Lady. However, instead of her being some sort of like a silly goose prankster ghost, she had more of a somber demeanor and told the children that they needed to leave immediately because it was dangerous to be near the cliffs. So then we get Consuelo. Consuelo is a housekeeper and one of the employees. Now, she claims that she has met the spirit of the Blue Lady, but claims that it is not the, quote, two-timing flapper of local legend.
Does she call her a two-timing flapper?
That's what I've written down. Mm-hmm. I don't think she calls him that. I think that's what Robert Stack said in the thing. So Consuelo claims that she met the spirit one night while she was extremely sick with a high fever. I think that's an important point to bring up at this moment.
Yep.
While laying in bed, the spirit appeared to her at the foot of her bed, claiming that Consuelo had something that belonged to her. And what she was referring to was music. The spirit then appeared to Consuelo again. While finishing her shower, she stepped out of her shower, and this is in the reenactment. Consuelo is in the shower, getting out in like this steamy, foggy room, and steps out, and there is a whole human being standing in front of her. Ben, when I tell you that if I stepped out of my shower and saw a ghost, I would die. You would find me dead in the shower, and everyone would want to know what happened. That is, I don't know why. I don't know if it's the Bloody Mary of it all, but there is something about the bathroom and spirits that just freak me out. Every time I close my eyes in the shower and like wash my hair, I am convinced that at that moment, either a spider or a ghost is going to show up. Do you have that fear at all?
No.
You guys help me out. I cannot be the only one that is like that. Did you ever play Bloody Mary as a kid?
No.
Did you know about Bloody Mary as a kid?
Yes.
But you weren't into it?
I think no.
No. Did anyone ever try to get you to play it?
Not that I remember.
Maybe it was a girl thing. I don't know.
I think it was more of a girl thing.
Girls, a lot of us like being scared.
That's shocking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked by that.
Yeah. I never played Bloody Mary because I don't mess around with that kind of stuff. But I remember hearing the story about Bloody Mary, and then I watched the movie Candyman, which is the same sort of like premise. You say the name of Candyman while looking in the mirror. And after that moment, I could not use the bathroom, go into the bathroom with the door closed, because I was convinced that the moment I closed the door, the lights were going to turn off and I was going to be stuck in there forever with a spirit.
Candyman.
Anyways, back to Consuelo.
Candyman.
Stop. So Consuelo gets out of the shower. We have no information on if she was clothed or not, but if I was naked in front of a ghost, I would also be upset about that.
Usually when you get out of the shower, you're not clothed.
I know, but rude of the ghost to show up when you are naked. Have common courtesy.
I agree.
Right? Okay. Ghosts, we don't need you around our business when we're naked. Once again, the spirit inquired about her music. She also revealed that her name was Alma Reed, and the name conjured a memory from Consuelo's childhood. When she was 10, her father had given her sheet music written by one of his close friends, Ricardo, a famous Mexican musician. And the song was titled, oh, good gravy. Okay. Is G in Spanish a G? G.
I'm sorry, what?
Is G in Spanish sound like the same? Perigria?
Just say it how you think you need to say it. And
Perigria, I think is how it's pronounced. Okay.
All right, we'll roll with it.
Which was dedicated, and I want you guys to pay attention to this story because again, I found some evidence, or I found more information out post this. So Consuelo was saying that Alma is requesting some sheet music back that she had that had been given to her from her father, who had written it for his beloved, a woman named Alma. According to Consuelo, Alma and Ricardo were star-crossed lovers. Alma was already married to another man when she fell in love with Ricardo, and legend has it that in 1927 she walked into the sea, preferring death to life without Ricardo. Some say that she drowned herself in Northern California coast not far from Moss Beach. Put a pin in that story. I have some more information on that later. Okay, in 1992, the owner of Moss Beach Distillery contacted psychic Sylvia Brown. I have a lot of thoughts on her. We can go over those later. And asked her to determine the true identity of the Blue Lady. When she arrived at the restaurant, she told him that she felt that there was a ghost there named Mary Ann or Mary Ellen. Whoa. Mary Ann or Mary Ellen?
Mary Ann. I've never heard that name before. I know, that's not a common name.
Not a common name at all. She said that the ghost was wearing all blue. The restaurant's employees were surprised that she had come up with a new identity for the Blue Lady. Sylvia went on to say that she had that this woman had likely been killed by crushing blows to the chest and the head. Employees took the information and they went to the San Bernardino County Statistics and Vital Records Office, and they researched the documents between 1910 and 1930 and found that there was a woman named Mary Ellen who actually existed. Interestingly enough,
I'm shocked.
Her maiden name was Reed, and she also had a sister named Alma. Even more interesting was that she was discovered in the newspapers, the accounts of Mary Ellen's death. So Mary Ellen had lived in Redwood City near San Francisco. And on the day of her death in 1919, her and her husband had gone out for a drive, and on their way back, lost control of his automobile and it overturned. Mary Ellen was trapped in the wreckage and crushed to death, sustaining injuries to her head and chest, just like Sylvia Brown had said. So the owner at this point, the distillery decides at this point that they need to have a seance. So she claimed that Mary Ann Spillett was weary from searching for her son, Jack. She also claimed that she saw 3 other spirits with Mary Ellen, a beautiful blonde named Anna, her dashing lover named John, and Hannah, a Mennonite woman. No further information on these people, though. As the seance came to an end, Sylvia said that Mary had warned them that there would be a fire at the restaurant. About 4 days later, there was indeed a fire at the restaurant. Although the restaurant was closed temporarily, no one was hurt and it ended up not being anything crazy. Many employees and patrons believe the Lady in Blue haunts the Moss Beach Distillery and believe that she's the ghost of Mary Ellen, while others believe it is Alma Reed or the flapper from Frank's Roadhouse. To this day, the experiences at the distillery remained unexplained, and that is where Unsolved Mystery leaves us.
Okay. I would ask for an update, but I already know how the update is gonna go.
Because you looked into it, or because
Because it's a ghost story. Okay. There's no resolution to ghost stories. We all know how it goes.
Well, I've got some thoughts. I wrote some notes down.
I know you have thoughts.
Because we're only on page 5 of my notes here.
Oh, dear.
Okay. So, I'm going to start off by saying this. I do believe in ghosts. And I believe that there are places and people that seem to be more drawn or prone to interactions with spirits. However, there is been some accusations since Unsolved Mystery went and did a show there about this place. And I also have personal issues with Sylvia Brown. I think she is a fraud.
She is a fraud.
Yeah. So let's start with what I found out about the location. When the restaurant was featured a few years later after Unsolved Mysteries on a show called Ghost Hunters. Very famous show. I also think that the ghost hunter people are idiots half the time, but they're really big in IEPs and like videotaping everything, the whole 9 yards. The guy that's the original host of Ghost Hunters and all of that and the paranormal stuff, I think he's an idiot. But
I've never watched Ghost Hunters.
It's pretty bad. It's actually entertaining, entertainingly bad. So they were there in 2008. The cast of Ghost Hunters came to investigate claims, and while they were there during their filming, they found a series of elaborate devices meant to scare people that were built into the restaurant. One of them include a ghostly face in the bathroom mirror and a speaker that admitted laughter when triggered by a sensor. The ghost hunter team refused to investigate any further after the discovery, and according to an interview in the Friends Go Be, a former Disney employee named Darren Coleman was actually hired to design and install devices to make the chandeliers sway and a phone that rang by itself. According to analysis by SF Gate, Kate, the haunting claims did not appear before 1981, and the details claim that distilleries are inaccurate, and the story was likely created by the former owners, Mike and Shirley, for local business interviews and to drum up, a marketing campaign. So I will say we have talked about other haunted places like the Queen Mary and so on and so forth. This has been the first time that I have found something that there's actually tangible evidence that people created.
I take back my comment about the update then.
Yeah. You didn't know this, did you?
No, I didn't look into this.
Bazinga.
Bazinga.
Exactly. All right. Next. Let's talk about Sylvia Brown, shall we?
Well, everyone knows how I feel about psychics.
So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about her. Most of us who grew up watching any sort of daytime talk show in the 90s. For me, if I was ever homesick from school, we got to watch things like Jerry Springer, which we probably shouldn't have been watching.
Jerry.
And the Montel Williams Show was another popular one. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Murray. Yeah.
Wasn't he the one?
He was the one.
DNA testing.
The lie detector test. And the DNA.
That was
the DNA test.
That
determines
was
that you are the father.
We asked this, and that was a lie.
Yeah.
That was a great show.
It was such trash TV. Was there a single one of those that was classy? They were all trashy. And that's
Oprah.
Yes, I will say Oprah, though, she got really weird into she did get into the gossipy, the makeover, the body shaming. It was a big thing for her.
Yeah, but Oprah was on for so long.
And Ricky Lake, do you remember that? Did you watch the Ricky Lake show?
I didn't really watch. I've remembered Ricky Lake, but I didn't really watch.
Yeah. So, you'll know the name Sylvia Brown. I posted today a video.
I thought I'd heard of her. And then when I saw her, she kind of looked familiar, but I don't really remember because even at that age, I wasn't going to buy into that. So she
was actually born Sylvia Shoemaker back in 1936 from Kansas City, Missouri. In about 1974, she begins her dabbling into psychic readings. Throughout her career, she would write dozens of books about the paranormal. She would also be seen on the Montel Williams Show and the Larry King Live Show. She also made a cameo appearance on the soap opera The Young and the Restless.
Did you ever watch an episode of that?
I was not big into soap operas. In fact, I think I remember being annoyed because I think that they came on, if I'm remembering, because again, this was all when we were in school when these shows would come on. And so there was The Price is Right.
I love The Price is Right.
Everyone loved it, right? And then I think maybe the morning news, the late morning, because there was early morning news and then there was a couple of shows and then I think there was a 10:30 morning news or something, at least my local station. And then at 11 o'clock, soap opera started. And I think they went till about 2 before the daytime talk show dramas started. No, I got into the soap opera Revenge, I think is what it's called. But I think that was when I was a young adult. And I don't even know if it was a soap opera. I think it was, I don't know. There might have been one or two I watched a little bit as a teenager, but no.
All right. Keep going.
Did you?
No.
No, I can't imagine that you would.
All right.
Okay. So as much as this woman claimed to be mystical and whatever, she was wrong a lot, you guys. Some of the biggest blunders, the biggest blunder, you might even remember this a little bit, was several years ago, a missing teenager named Amanda Berry went missing. Amanda Berry's mom was on national television when Sylvia told her that her daughter was dead. And she said that Amanda would be located in water and that they would only meet again in heaven. So her mother returned home heartbroken and actually passed away in 2006, believing her daughter was dead. Amanda Berry, though, would actually not only go on to be found, but be the heroine in her own story as a woman who in 2013 bravely escaped the man of a house in Cleveland, Ohio, where he had abducted her and 2 other women 10 plus years ago and were forcing them to live in his basement. Do you remember that in Cleveland, Ohio? I bet if I showed you some news clippings about it, you would remember
It's ringing a very thin bell, but I don't, 0 details.
So these 3 girls had gone missing. I think one had been like 11 or 12 years ago. And then Amanda Berry was
not 11, 12 years
ago.
Because you're saying they were found in 2013.
I'm talking about from the time they were found.
10 years. So like 20 something years ago.
11 years before one of them, they were found. One girl had gone missing. Amanda was about 10 years before they were found. And then one girl, I think, was about 9 or 8 years. They had all been living in this man's house in Cleveland, Ohio. He had abducted all of them, had actually impregnated one and forced one of them to give birth at home, was believing that they were all of his wives. And a man, I think that was dropping off a Burger King order next door, called 911. And there is a lady on the porch, like, it was an insane thing, like out of nowhere. And she got on the phone with 911 and was like, I'm Amanda Berry. Like I was kidnapped 10 years ago. Like I need help. She finally got out of the house. And he was like living in like this normal residential neighborhood. Anyways, that is a crazy story. So her mom was on national television circuit because this made national news when her daughter went missing. And the psychic told her that your daughter is dead and she would be found in water somewhere. And then the mom passed away believing that I guess she went home and then was like diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and passed away shortly after this interview. So she also founded the Society of Novice Spirits, a Christian church established around her as the leader in Campo, California. And she also had an estimated net worth when she passed away between $1.5 and $10 million. So her income came mostly from high-profit media career, book sales, and private sessions. I honestly could say a lot more about this woman, but we are here for ghosts, not the Sam story of this woman. So I found the lady that they actually believe is historically likely to be the, quote, lady in blue. Her name is Elizabeth Clare, a woman who had left an abusive marriage, and her husband was able to track her down while she was at the speakeasy. She was in a relationship with the piano player, and some kind of altercation occurred, and she passed away on the beach. So there is some truth to that story. She wasn't two-timing. She had actually left her husband. So, and as far as the ghost of Alma Reed, remember Consuela and the creepy ghost showing up while she was in the shower?
Yes, ma'am.
I did find a report that a woman matching her name and her description, Alma Reed, passed away at the age of 77 in Mexico City, not by taking her own life, but died of natural causes. However, there is a story of sheet music. She did fall in love. At the time, she was a reporter for a local newspaper and had done some work for immigrants that had come from Mexico to California. And because of her work, the president of Mexico at the time invited her to come for a visit. During this time of the visit, the two fell in love with each other and reportedly had planned on getting married. He had accompanied her back to San Francisco. And when she had come down to Mexico City, she stepped off the train when she was there visiting, and there was a group of a mariachi band there. and they were playing a song called Alma di Ma Alma, the soul of my soul, that was actually being played for a wife of a businessman who had hired this band to be there to serenade his wife. She had thought it was for her, and this like kind of became a running joke. So the president of Mexico had actually commissioned a piece of sheet music to be written for her. Unfortunately, he was assassinated before they could get married, and so she had this as a momentum. But she did not take her own life, but there was a woman named Alma who did have a piece of sheet music written for her.
Okay.
But she went on to live till she was 77 years old. So, okay. Today, the restaurant is still open. They boast about having a dog-friendly patio, a menu full of seafood, and they very much still share the story of the Blue Lady all over their website. And many people to this day report of having haunting experiences when they come to the restaurant. So there you go. Kind of a little bit of an update in the fact that it did seem that they kind of, you want to make your restaurant haunted for marketing.
Maybe it was haunted and then they just leaned into it.
I mean, I'm not mad about it, but I also am like, don't try to like trick the ghost hunters or whoever else. Like, if you're going to pretend to be the haunted mansion.
Don't give all the other haunted places a bad name.
Yeah, you're making everyone else look bad.
You're making more skeptics out of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Us believers.
We don't appreciate
it.
You trying to play funny business.
I'm not a believer.
I am. And you do believe in ghosts.
I don't believe in ghosts that go around haunting people and pull things off the thing and dangle it
Ben's
around.
Ghosts only do certain things and not playful things.
They're just the souls.
They're just souls.
They're souls.
So what do the souls do? Just meander around bored?
Well, they're not hanging out with us.
Maybe they are. Maybe they're social people. They're social souls.
Are you done?
Yeah. Would you like to tell us a story, Ben?
I do.
Okay.
I got an amnesia story. And I have my notes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
10 points for Ben.
This is a quick story. So remember we talked about Pierre they say April, but it's spelled April. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy from Canada who pretended to have amnesia.
He shows up. Was it San Diego? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then he gets his memories back.
He was the one that wanted to find it because he ran out of money from charity work in San Diego.
I think so. No, the guy in...
Oh, that was the...
guy in Nevada.
The Nevada guy.
Who goes to San Diego.
This guy showed up with a luggage with his name, Pierre April, in it, but still was like, I don't know who I am.
And a Boston library card with his name on it.
Yeah.
So...
But they magically can all fly helicopters and stuff and planes.
Yeah. So shortly after, I say that because Robert Stack tells us that shortly after that story, they get contacted by authorities in Richardson, Texas, which is just a suburb of Dallas. And they tell them that, hey, they've got another woman suffering from amnesia. And they're trying to figure out who she is. You get over there?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just going to go get some chapstick. My lips hurt real bad.
My lips hurt real bad. All right. So they tell us that they have come across this lady and she calls herself Sandra Evans. We don't know how she got that name. You're going to find out in a little bit. It's very confusing. She thinks her name is Sandra Evans. She's interviewed. She says I don't know what's going on. I don't know. She doesn't know who she is. Okay.
But she has amnesia. So what? Yeah. What is she supposed to say? I don't know, man.
She's saying she can't see her past life. She sees it a little bit. She gets these glimpses in these windows.
Reading your notes.
I know. We're off today. Oh, anyways, May 14th, 1992, she fainted at a bus station and was taken to a hospital. Wakes up. Can't remember who she is. So the hospital calls the police. They come in. They are questioning her. She doesn't know. And So they're calling around and we got a police officer on there. He's like, yeah, we got a bunch of tips from all over the country. We followed up on everything. Nothing seems to be panning out of finding out who this lady is. I'm kind of like, why are the police getting involved so much? But hey, I don't know.
Because they're doing their job.
It's not their job to say like, hey, who are you?
I actually think it is their job.
She's an adult.
But she doesn't know who she is. They have to find who she belongs to. I 100% think this is in the police department.
I don't have a problem. Knock yourself out. They follow a bunch of leads. They can't figure it out. So what they do find is that she has luggage. Okay. On the luggage, there's a tag that says Linda Kennedy. But Sandra is convinced that's not her name. Even though the handwriting is hers, she thinks that's not my name. Also, there is a photo, multiple photos. One of her as a bride. It's just a picture of her. They show us the picture. It's not like she's with another person, but she's clearly in a wedding dress. Then there's another picture of two young boys, like very young, like 2 or 3 around that age. And then there's another picture of a teenage girl. Appears to be like in graduation attire. And she pretty much says, I don't think those are my kids. I don't want them to be my kids because how terrible would that be? That she goes, it's just too hard to think of that. I feel that those are my nieces and nephews. It would be too upsetting to think that those are her kids, is what she says. Because, she's been a mom. That means that she's been gone from her family for 5 months now. And they don't know where she is. And she doesn't, how terrible would it be that she doesn't remember her own kids? So she thinks that all this amnesia was caused by some type of traumatic or violent experience. Except for there's no evidence of violence because she just passed out and she had no injuries. So, but that's how she thinks. So that's pretty much where Unsolved Mysteries leaves us.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick story.
It was very quick.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what's the update?
Okay, we get a little update from Unsolved Mysteries, and I got more. So,
because I had a lot of questions.
Oh, I got answers.
Okay.
The night of the broadcast, someone called. They said the night of the broadcast in Canada, which I'm going to guess it aired differently in Canada. The night of the broadcast, her siblings called and identified her as Carol Ann Rozak, who is from London, Canada. She's divorced, and the photos were of her kids.
What is with people coming down from Canada having amnesia?
I know. I thought it was weird.
What's going up there, Canada?
So those 2 boys are her sons, her young sons, and the girl was her 13-year-old daughter.
Yeah, so that whole thing where she was like, this would be terrible if these were my children.
Yeah, they were her kids.
Yeah.
She talked to her family that night. And then on October 30th, 1992, 6 months from disappearing, she returns home to Canada to be around her siblings and her kids. They say she's living with her daughter. Not quite sure what happened to her sons. So that's a little bit of the update that Unsolved Mysteries gives us. You ready for more update?
Yes, because I still have a lot of questions.
So,
did this lady run away from her family?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
She is a criminal.
She sounded like a narcissistic mother who was...
She's a criminal.
Okay. Was she committing fraud?
Yep.
Yeah, I freaking knew it.
So I will say it was actually kind of hard. So 2023, the United States Marshals approach a lady in Phoenix, Arizona, and arrest her at gunpoint. It's on body cam footage.
Wait, was she outside of her house?
Yes.
I saw this. This like blew up on social media.
She's now suing the United States Marshal Service.
Because she was like with a neighbor or a friend or something out there.
I don't know. I didn't watch the video.
Okay. Yes.
There's a lot of articles. It made nationwide. It even like got politicians to comment on it.
Yes.
So this was in 2023. They arrested her under the identity that she was Carol Ann Rozak, wanted from 1999 on a federal fugitive warrant. They thought they had tracked her down to be this lady in Phoenix. They ended up arresting that lady. She spent the night in jail. Come to find out how they tied this lady to being Carol Ann was thrown out by the judge. She wasn't her.
Oh.
And now she's suing the United States Marshal Service. But that led my research that Carol Ann Rozak was arrested in Texas on fraud. A lot of fraud.
A lot of fraud. Okay.
Bank fraud, possession of stolen property, and conspiracy to commit murder. She was orchestrating schemes involving fraudulent financial accounts using forged identities or documents to illicitly withdraw or move funds through banking institutions. There is rumor, it's hard to find hard evidence, that in 1992, the Canadian Mounted Police were looking into her for check fraud and doing things like that. As they were mounting an investigation, she magically disappeared.
Okay, and abandoned her 3 children while doing so.
So between 1992 and 1998, she again left Canada, went to Texas, committed fraud. In 1999, she was released on parole. She wanted to move to Oklahoma, and they granted that to her.
Why? She's not an American citizen. Or was she?
I don't know. It's not like there's a ton of information on this petty crime lady.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I feel bad for her children.
Yeah. So she was released. She was given parole, probation. She said, you can go here. You have to check in with the office within 72 hours. She's never been seen or heard from since. U.S. Marshals are still looking for her. Arrested the wrong person in 2023.
Okay. So wait, she's never been found?
Still not found.
Oh.
Technically, there's still a warrant out for her arrest.
Well, if she's listening, I think you're a terrible mother.
So
you're a bad,
her amnesia
bad
story
person,
is...
and your amnesia was BS.
Yeah. And there
was something about when she said it in a way about her kids, like it would be tragic for these to be my children, because I don't remember. The way she said that made me feel so uncomfortable, because it was like she thought she was being clever and cute. I don't know. There was something about it where it's like, I think these are your children and you know that, but you're trying to come off as some sort of victim, and you're placating to the people watching Unsolved Mysteries as a victim and using your children as a pawn.
Yeah. It sounded like she's not the one that contacted Unsolved Mysteries.
No, it sounds like the police are the ones.
Police
they said
did.
The police contacted.
The authorities contacted. So they're the ones that kind of put her...
Because she's a con artist, she had to go along.
She had to roll with it.
Yeah.
Goes back to Canada and then flees Canada pretty quickly after that. Goes back into wherever, Texas or whatever, and then starts her schemes
she
again.
Has split ends no matter how many times she cuts her hair, and that anytime she tries to put bleach on, it turns yellow. Well, that's what I wish for her.
All right. There you go.
You are a bad, bad person. Okay. All right. Well, I have a lost love story for you, and this one is a criminal lost love, because we are talking about, once again, a terrible human being who is selling babies illegally. So Ethel Nation is a nurse from San Antonio, Texas, and she was practicing in the world of the medical field in the 1950s and 60s. And it turns out that she seems to have allegedly been abducting and soliciting illegal adoption while she was working as a nurse. And
this is like the third or fourth one we've had of this.
Here's the thing. This makes me angry. I cannot personally understand the heartache of not being able to have children. I have people in my life that I love greatly that have experienced that and that have been blessed with fertility treatments and or adoption, and they're beautiful things. However, at least here in America, that comes at a very expensive cost. So I understand people seeking it out at a different financial level. What makes me sick to my stomach is that there are people out there that prey on both sides. They prey on women that might be in bad situations, and then they prey on families that are desperate to add children to their lives. So you are a bad, bad person. So we're interviewed by two kids. And by kids, I mean, they looked like they were in their late teens. They were over 18. Both of them were early 20s. And it's a young man named Scott and a young woman named Dawnette. They're looking for their birth family. So Scott was born in 1965 in San Antonio and was given by nurse Ethel to a couple that was unable to have children, who claimed that they paid $1,200 for her. And that's 1965. That's still a chunk of change.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. So when he was 10, he began having this weird, strange, reoccurring dream about a dark hospital room.
Are you saying he had a psychic dream?
Might have had a psychic dream. You are correct. With a doctor and the nurse and a woman giving birth. He believed that he was born in that room, and when he was 18, him and his adopted mother, Mary, began searching for his birth mother. They visited actually nurse Ethel in person 6 different times in order to try to get information from her. And just like any con artist, it seemed like she couldn't keep her story straight. So between that time, she had told him that he was born in 3 different hospitals. However, none of them had their birth records. And on one final visit, she seems to get very angry when they kind of were like, none of this stuff is making any sense. And this is when the tables turn and we see a little glimpse of her true nature. So when this final visit, now mind you, this kid is 18 years old sitting in her house. And she proceeds to tell him that your mother was a whore, that she was a slut who wanted to get an abortion and couldn't because it was too far along. And so you shouldn't even be looking for her anyways because she didn't want you. Full stop. What kind of person says that to someone? Let's just say.
You're talking about a lady that's stealing kids from humans and selling them to other people.
Babies.
She's a terrible person in the beginning.
Terrible human
so for her saying something like that does not surprise me. It just makes me
sick to my stomach to everything about talking like that, especially to some 18-year-old kid who's literally just trying to get answers. But him getting answers means that you get discovered.
She's literally stealing human beings.
Yeah.
And giving them to other people.
Yeah, she's a terrible person.
And solely for profit.
Yeah. So basically, Mary is kind of told the same thing. So these 2 kids are interviewed and they both have the same experience. Around the age of 18, they decided to try to find their birth mothers. They both somehow, for some reason, still are able to get into contact with Nurse Ethel. They are misdirected and guided, and then finally at some point kind of told the same story. And so these 2 kids are looking for their mom, their birth parents. And in the same time, they kind of start to uncover this scheme that this nurse was basically like running this illegal child ring. But
let's be clear. She was making it look legit.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you notice.
So that's the other thing is everyone had birth records and adoption records.
They had records. So the people adopting these kids, it appeared they didn't know.
The parents adopting these children are interviewed in this episode. They had no idea. They were adopting from a nurse and they had what they thought was legitimate adoption records and birth certificates and information.
So they were thinking this is all on the up and up.
Yep. And so they kind of give a little bit of background on these two children. And both of these people they're looking to see if anyone has any information. And it's very short. It's kind of where Unsolved Mystery leaves us. We don't get even a ton of information. Nurse Ethel ends up passing away without this ever becoming a thing or being discovered.
I think he said it was 91 when she passed away. That's the part of the story that makes me mad the most.
Yeah. She
is that this lady got to do this
her whole life
and never suffered any repercussions.
Cannot tell me that other people were not aware of this. A nurse doesn't work alone in a hospital.
No. Well, these people were giving birth in a hospital and then a clinic. They were saying some type of clinic. And
I did read some other reports. There were a handful of women who were told their child died in childbirth. It turns out they weren't. They were adopted. And then another handful of people were told that the hospital bill and that they had all these medical things like we've talked about before where the baby is going to be so expensive and felt forced into signing over papers.
Because I'm just saying, when you give that birth, Ethel's not the only one there. There are other people at the hospital involved.
Absolutely.
So when that person then says, "Where's my child?"
Everyone had to be in on it. Or at least a multiple people.
Several people.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
All right. Update.
Okay. So unresolved, kind of. So after the broadcast, several viewers called in to confirm that Dawnette's mother was a woman named Gloria out of San Antonio, Texas. And same thing, she had been deceived by Nurse Ethel into signing over paperwork. She and her birth mother, are reunited on November 9th, 1992. We see that on Unsolved Mysteries updates. And as a result, Dawnette introduces her 4 children to, her birth mother and just kind of has this reunited story. However, to this day, our young man, Scott Merz, has never been able to locate a single member of his birth family.
That's too bad.
It is too bad. I looked on so many different things, and there was a ton of people recommending that he do ancestry and do DNA tests and all that kind of stuff. There was even people that commented that they either knew Scott or know of him, and they weren't sure if he had considered doing that as of yet. So I don't know. If anyone knows this man, as an update, please let me know. It's possible he could have found him and maybe just decided that was his personal private information. I totally understand that. I couldn't really find any evidence that he was on any of the ancestry websites or anything at all like that. So, but I don't know, stuff like there's an entire podcast, an entire genre of true crime and DNA research dedicated to people trying to put together their family history. So hopefully if he still wants that information, I hope he finds it. If for some reason he's decided that he's done looking and he's closed that chapter of his life, I hope the rest of his life is happy. And I hope that Nurse Ethel is experiencing what she deserves in the next life and whatever that looks like for her, because I've never ceased to be amazed at how terrible human beings can be to each other, unfortunately. And there's a lot of good in the world. Don't get me wrong. I think there's more good than bad. But when I hear stories like this, some people are cut from a different cloth.
Yippers.
All right. Ben has our last story for today, and it is another
ghost story.
Mixed with history.
Yeah.
Civil War, right?
Yep. All right. Wilmington, California, during the Civil War. In 1962, a military installation was established on 60 acres overlooking the Los Angeles harbor.
It's Los Angeles?
It's Los Angeles?
Los Angeles?
Los Angeles? All right. It was a center for processing and training troops. Nearly half of the 17,000 troops that came, the Union troops that came from California passed through there. So a lot of troops. It wasn't a place where there was fighting. They were just training there. Okay.
The
you look
Union.
confused.
Well, I'm trying to remember. And
Union's
I'm
the
really
north.
stupid. Okay, I was going to say
Confederacy is the south.
Confederacy is south. I was like, I want to make sure that I'm thinking of the right one.
Yep. Union north, Confederacy south.
Got it.
This was for the Union. All right.
This was for the right side.
I have a lot of quotes in this one because there's some doozies. Robert Stack, he's telling us about this place. Okay. He says, today, all that remains of the outpost is a single building, which now houses a modest museum and some very unlikely tour guides, AKA ghosts.
I liked this story. I thought it was sweet. And I also like that they mentioned the gift shop because I do appreciate a good gift shop at a museum.
Gift shops are all the same. They have all the same crap.
I don't think that's how it was 30 years ago because Amazon and Temu and all that didn't exist. Gift shops used to be legit. And yes,
agree.
now
I think gift shops should be like legit.
Mm-hmm. And if you give me a good gift shop that's legit, I will buy stuff there.
We're going to get off track for a minute.
When we went on our Route 66 trip, everything was Amazon. And
this is where I was going to say, give people, if you want to skip forward about 30 seconds, 3 or 4 times. Okay. You'll go back into the story. We talked about our road trip. We went.
I will say we mentioned that we were going to talk about it and then we never did. And we'll do that at some point. We went on I planned a fun ADHD side quest.
And we went in to that ghost town that had the donkeys that roamed. It's called Oatman, Arizona. And this is I
got bit by a donkey.
Yeah. And do you know what made me so irritated?
I was so excited for the time. I had a great time.
The only stores were selling the crap.
The worst.
The crap shirts and sweatshirts that you get at every little tourist town.
There was not a single unique shop in there. And if I had gone in and found a weird, unique,
we walked by, I kept looking to see. I had
every intention on spending money. Every single shop was exactly the same.
It's the same shops I see on every Oregon coast town that we stop at, or every other.
There wasn't even an Oatman town. There wasn't even shirts and sweatshirts. I will say, seaside towns, you get the cliche gift shops, right? But then you get some weird, funky shops, and I like those.
It was just crap.
But I was super disappointed with the gift shops in Oatman.
I was irritated.
And there was no food to be had in that entire town. And I get it. It's a ghost town. No one actually lives there, but then they have restaurants and stuff.
But it is a tourist attraction place. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so Marge O'Brien, she tells us, listen, she locks rooms. She turns off lights. She puts the shades down, and then she will come back in the morning and a light will be on or a shade will be up. I wrote this down because this is what Marge says when she's telling us this. The light in the parlor jolly well might be on. And then again, it might not. But the shades may be up or not. So what is it, Marge?
I actually was like, I need to work at a place like this where I can blame my whoopsie daisies on
ghosts.
Well, it's probably just the ghost.
So in 1986,
I lost my phone again. Probably the ghost. Yeah, you left the AC on at 72. No, I didn't. I turned it up, but it was probably the
ghost. 1986, Marge was hired to revitalize it's called the Drum Barracks. That's what they call it now.
Is this museum still there today?
It's still there. I looked it up. So it is still there. It had been declared a national landmark, but it had been pretty much in ruins and no one had really been taking care of it. So in 1986, she's hired to take care of it. Again, my quote, "It was very dark, very sad feeling as you walk through. And it was just a building, just standing there, saying, 'Help me.'"
I like Marge. This is how I feel when I go
have
to
no
the
problem
antique
with
store.
Marge. I think she's probably
This is
a
me
wonderful
at the antique
person.
store where I'm like, this was just a pot standing there staring at me.
I'm just wondering.
An empty lamp with no shade that said, "Help me."
I'm just saying, Marge, what else was the building doing? If it wasn't standing there, what were you expecting it to be doing?
The building ran off, cried behind the rocks. It didn't.
It was just a building standing there.
Marge, that is what buildings do. Actually, that's
the purpose.
That's the purpose of it. And the fact that it's been standing there since the Civil War means it's doing pretty well.
If you left a building and you show up the next day and it ain't there.
That's a story for Unsolved Mysteries.
I'm worried.
I'm jolly well worried.
Vector came and stole the pyramid.
I'd like to see somebody else steal that pyramid.
Oh, we're going to get way off track on this one. Oh, dear. I wrote the quotes in this one are legit. All right.
But the small one from Las Vegas. Oh, I love that movie there's so many good quotes in Despicable Me.
That is one of the greats.
I will. One of Stephen Carell's best work to date.
So Marge starts. I know, Marge. She starts.
She could not have a more perfect name for her personality. And here's the best part. You guys, she's a hoot on Unsolved Mysteries too.
She's great.
She's great.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not making fun of Marge. It's just there's a lot of great quotes because here's the thing. This is
We're laughing with Marge. This is a fun ghost story.
It's a fun story.
Yeah.
There's no seriousness in this. Okay. They start revitalizing it and getting it ready. And Robert Stack tells us the old building was coming back to life in more ways than one. Such great quotes. All right. So Marge tells us as she's there just doing her normal things that she does in her office, she'll get these feelings and she'll hear things to go check, and she'll check the lights. She'll go into the parlor and the light will be on. She'll go up to the gun room and the light will be on. Or the shade will be up. And she says, this is not normal.
Did they have electricity during the Civil War?
I don't think so.
Maybe that's why the ghosts are like, dude, we can just turn this light on. I mean, to a ghost, wouldn't lights be pretty remarkable if they didn't have them in their life?
Maybe.
I could see, as children, we love flipping switches on and off. Maybe that's why ghosts do it.
Maybe. Marge tells us that there is a rule after every tour to turn the lights off, put the shades down, and lock the doors. So that is happening. So when she goes in, she gets these feelings to go around and check, and she finds these things. She knows it's a ghost. All right, Forrest Neal, he's the caretaker, and he's a skeptic. He tells us he's the most skeptic of the skeptics. But in the summer of 1989, they made a believer out of him. Monday morning, which the museum is closed, he's upstairs. He's doing some work on this place. I think it's crazy that they had a caretaker, but also awesome. And he heard someone walking around in the hallways. He looks down the hall, doesn't see anybody. He hears him go down the stairs. He looks, doesn't see anything, so he follows him down there. He's like, oh, so they're going to be in the gift shop. Goes in the gift shop. No one's there. He's like, well, then fine. They'll be in the bathroom. Goes into the bathroom. No one there. That
would be pretty terrifying to be like, I'm very convinced that I heard somebody to the point where I searched for them. You don't think so? Dude, I would be at a 10 at this moment.
That was his experience, and pretty much since then he's been a believer. Okay.
I will say he was the sweetest little old man when he was interviewed. He talked about
I really liked Forrest.
He talked about how he's never actually seen a ghost there, but he believes that they're there, so he talks to them now when he's coming in and out of rooms and like just lets them know what he's doing. And he's okay if that makes if he thinks other people think that's funny or whatever. That's just how he's decided.
I liked Forrest a lot.
Yeah, to interact with him.
He seems like a good man.
Yeah.
All right, Yasmin, they get contracted to come in and do some cleaning and housekeeping around.
Yeah, she said like they're volunteers that come in.
Yeah, and they're just kind of an agency that does this for the museum and stuff. They were cleaning in the gun room. They get done. They pull the blinds down. They turn the lights off. And as they're walking outside, and Marge is there. And she looks up, Yasmin does, and sees the blind in the window slowly going up. She said it appears that someone was holding it as it was going up because it was going up slow. She says to Marge, "Did you see that?" And I'll say the way Marge was talking to Yasmin in the reenactment.
Did you sense some attitude?
I sensed a little attitude.
Well, I will say, what's her name? There's Marge and Yasmin.
Yeah.
Yasmin, at least according to the and I think she was playing herself in the reenactment.
They both were.
She is beautiful.
It was just reenactment. I'm just giving people a hard time.
She's very young and she's very pretty. And Marge feels some kind of way about houses that stand still.
Yeah, she does. She doesn't like it's just standing there.
Draw that conclusion of what
it's just standing there, and she gets feelings to go check lights. So that's that story. Fred Durand, he's a city employee, and he's been contracted to do exterminating work.
I also loved Fred Durand.
I liked Fred.
I liked him too. Because he's interviewed on Unsolved Mysteries, and I loved him.
I like Fred. He contracted through the city to do exterminating work at the museum. He's in the kitchen. He hears footsteps behind him. He doesn't look behind him. He just assumes it's a museum. So there's people walking around doing all kinds of things, and he's just got to get his work done. And he hears this person behind him. In the reenactment, he states, "I need to get some water." And then he states, "Have you seen Maria?" Okay. And Fred pretty much says, "No, I have not seen Maria." So maybe Fred knew who Maria was, or he's just answering, "No, I don't know who you're talking about. I know I haven't seen him." So, but he turns around and he sees a guy in a Civil War outfit. He just assumes it's the caretaker, which I'm going to guess was Forrest. And he goes outside and he sees some employees, and he mentions,
I love this next part.
He mentions to the employees, he's like, "Man, that caretaker really takes his job seriously." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, he dressed in Civil War uniform." And the employees say, "Oh, you saw the captain's ghost." And Marge comes back. She's like, "I don't know why the captain's ghost saw fit to show himself to Fred."
A little
but she
offended.
said, "No," she goes, "But if Fred said he saw it, Fred's a good and honest man.
I meant
he saw it."
Offended that she hasn't been blessed with that. The way she said it was kind of like, where does that ghost get off? Because I am the person that is bringing life back to this museum, and I don't think she's seen this ghost. She seemed a little like frustrated that she hasn't had that experience.
Probably. So that's Fred's story. All right, here we go. Here's the best part. Marge hires Barbara Connor.
We got another psychic.
She's a psychic. These are Robert Stack's words, and it's important. He says Barbara Connor is an internationally recognized psychic. Okay? take that for what it is.
What does that look like?
I don't know.
What are the credentials?
Well, it means that you go to a school and the school tells you that you don't even need to be there because you're so in tune.
For people that don't know, that's a callback to one of our
season one
stories.
One of the first psychics we got introduced.
She was so psychic that the school
of psychics told her she doesn't even need to be there.
Told her they just gave her certificate because she didn't even need to be there.
But I'm telling you this because I wrote another quote down. Okay. He says she's an internationally recognized psychic. So Marge has hired her to come in and to investigate this place and get a feel for the ghosts in there. Barbara comes on and is get interviewed. She says this is her quote. She says, "We seem to have some creaks and groans. And I thought right away, mentally, I thought to myself, oh, it's an old house and it's just settling. And I said, well, I've never done it before. But sure, I'd like to come out. So we came out and we started to go through the barracks."
Wait.
Yep, exactly. You're thinking the same thing I'm thinking.
Wait. So which is it? She's never done this before, or
she's an international recognized psychic. And
I will say, I don't know this. Is psychic different than a medium?
Why are you asking me these questions?
I'm genuinely, not genuine, a general question, because psychics, from my understanding, do communicate with people from the beyond. That's, I guess, what they call it. Maybe from on the other side of the veil, whatever. But mediums interact with ghostly spirits that are here.
So I don't know. Are you saying what's the difference between the fraud and the fraudster? The frauder and the frauder?
I do believe that people have intuition and connections with spirits. Ben doesn't, but I do.
Whatever fraud scam you want to roll, you can call yourself by whatever name, I guess. I don't know.
You don't think anyone has the ability to be connected to spirits?
No.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that we ourselves cannot have an interaction. But you're telling me that someone can walk around and just connect with them however they want, whenever they want?
So seers is what I would call them. You don't believe there are people that have that gift to be a seer?
I know what you're trying to say. No. So, anyways, where am I in my notes?
The psychic's going to tell us about the ghosts that are there.
All right, so she comes in, and according to Barbara, she walks into the drum barracks, and it is filled with ghostly activity. In the officer's lounge, she saw several ghosts. She just sees them. She just walks in and poof, there they are, They just show up right before her eyes. Can you believe it? Not just one, but a lot. There's two that are just playing cards. There's another, and he's looking through the curtains in the window, oh, what's going on out there? Where's the caretaker? And then there's another. He turns to Barbara, and clearly he recognizes this medium / psychic / all the things, internationally acclaimed psychic. And he says to her, hey, I want this chair closer to the fire. I'm cold. And so she tells her, listen, there's a gentleman in here, and he has a boot that is too small for his shoe, for his foot. Can you believe that? And Marge, of course, is just flabbergasted because she's been doing research on Colonel Curtis. And he was
Colonel Curtis?
Yep. He was a commander. He was the longest commander at the barracks. And he had frostbite on one of his feet. And so he wore a smaller boot to have more control of his foot. And he dragged it Okay. So clearly the psychic felt that. Upstairs, Barbara saw a small boy throwing a ball up against the wall. And Marge was like, what? She's like, we keep hearing this bang on the walls. Bang, bang, bang. And Barbara's like, yeah, it's just this little boy sitting here. I guess soldiers brought their kids to the barracks. She's like, yeah, there's this little boy. She's like, Barbara tells Marge, just tell him to stop and he'll stop. So there you go. Problem solved. Then they walk into another place and there's Colonel Curtis and a bunch of other soldiers in a planning session. And he turns to her and
Has anyone told these ghosts that the Civil War is over? Because if you're telling me that in the afterlife, I just have to relive parts of my life again in a repetitive loop, I'm out. That's going to be exhausting. These guys, the Civil War is over.
It's been over for a while.
It's been over you guys won.
Go home.
Go home.
Yeah.
Is anyone concerned that these men are in a planning meeting? What are they planning?
Hauntings. They're trying to figure out how to move this building. It's just standing there.
It's just standing here.
It's just standing there.
This building is not moving.
No. It keeps showing up and it's in the same place every day.
Oh, this one was a fun story.
It was.
Yeah.
So Colonel Curtis, he's planning. He turns to Barbara and she says he mentally projects this to her because I guess they don't talk. They're just mentally talking.
Well, and this was the other part because these two timelines don't add up.
Nope, but they're mentally talking. And he says to her in her mental thoughts, and she says to him in her mental thoughts, like, hey, what's up, bro? And he says, I want my award and I want it on this wall. Right? She's like,
he's
okay.
decorating.
Yeah, he's decorating.
Got thoughts on it.
Yeah, they're planning an attack.
That's what the planning is interior design.
Well, they found out later that Colonel Curtis had been awarded an award.
At the end of the Civil War.
No, he had been doing work with the Indians. And if anyone knows history of the West.
The insane, I will say.
Well, I'm just going to leave it there. Anyways, so he had supposedly...
They brought this up several times. Yeah. Because he did some stuff up in Washington.
That's where he got his frostbite.
Yes. Once again, working with the Native Americans in some way, shape, or form. I don't think he was working with them. I think he was working against them.
We don't know. So, anyways, that's where Unsolved Mysteries... But he's like
digging through boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mentally. In a house that's still standing and not moving. And
hasn't moved.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
That's where Unsolved Mysteries leaves us.
Do you have any updates? Is the house still there?
Yep.
Has it moved?
Nope.
Okay.
Still there.
All right.
So that's it. I mean, really, what else? What
do they? I mean, is it still like a haunted place?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they lean into it a little bit, but it is just a museum. People can go and check it out. It's not very big.
Probably haunted.
So, yeah, I mean, I did a little research on this Barbara lady.
Okay, what did you find out about Barbara?
I didn't find out a lot.
She's a big fan of RVs. Houses that move.
She passed away December 27, 2014.
I just made a hilarious joke and you rolled on past it.
I was pulling up my research notes. Mm-hmm. What did you say?
She's a big fan of RVs. Houses that move.
That's a good one.
I know.
But that wasn't Barbara. That was Marge.
Yeah.
Marge. She attended the Academy High School and majored in accounting. I'm sorry, I'm reading her obituary.
Are you talking about the psychic?
Yep.
Okay.
She studied philosophy at Mort Press Institute. And she was a psychic medium.
Oh, she was a psychic and a medium.
Yep. She helped found this is what I was looking for in her obituary.
Mm-hmm.
She helped found the first spiritualist church in Erie, which was named the Church of Spiritual Understanding.
Dude, what is with the psychics and starting their own religion? Is that not nutso bananas? Both her and Sylvia started a church.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
that's hard for me because when I hear people starting their own churches, and not that everyone that starts a church is a bad person, but I just see fraud and like tax evasion because it's a nonprofit, so you can cycle your money through. To me, it's more a way for you to take advantage of someone because you claim to have a connection to the spirit world, and now you want to be like under the umbrellas of faith. It's a lot of power someone's trying to grapple for.
I have yet to find out how she was like critically known as a psychic.
International,
but I just think it's because she started a church.
Probably because she just told people. We're talking at a time frame where I could just tell people.
I was an expert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's really not a lot of ways to verify that.
I listened a little bit. So right after this, she was on a radio show.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to that. I listened to her tell the story of all the things. There was way more ghosts she saw there too.
I bet so.
Yeah. She really got into her story.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. I mean, there's really no update.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I got.
Well, do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's not haunted. No.
You don't think the museum's haunted with Civil War ghosts?
No.
No.
And that lady's not a psychic.
But it sounds like a cool museum.
I do believe that house was standing there.
There we go. That mystery has been solved.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Good architect. Good bones, as one might say.
Yeah.
For a house to still be standing there.
So.
Where is this located at again?
LA. Somewhere in California. Wilmington, California.
I'm just struggling with the location
because it says the LA Harbor.
Because I guess I just think of like the Civil War as such an East Coast Southern thing. So, but they were training in California and then
heading
marching, taking the railroad. Was the railroad over there by then? Not quite.
No, the railroad was being built after.
That's right, because the railroad, Western expansion, and the Civil War, like all at the same time. It was kind of crazy that it was happening very closely to each other. It just seems like so far away to have a training camp in California when the fighting was taking place in like Virginia and Tennessee and stuff.
That's the military for you. We train all over the country.
The military always makes perfect sense and very clear and only high efficiency, Ben. They would not consider sending people to train in California hundreds of miles away when there was no easy access to get there. That seems silly.
You're a U.S. citizen in California. Your country is at war. You want to volunteer. Thousands of men volunteered from California. You train them there, and then you send them
over
to where the war is. That is pretty much how we've done it always. We train them here, and then we send them where the war is.
It just seems really far away from where the actual fighting was happening.
Well,
yeah, but today now we have what we call planes, trains, and automobiles and boats that get places. Back then we didn't. I don't know. The logic. I just thought it was weird that there was a Civil War museum in California. If you said, hey, Sierra, where do you think that this Civil War museum is? Do you know what I wouldn't have guessed? California. I would have said North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, Louisiana.
I don't think it's a big Civil War because there was no fighting there. It was just a barracks where men were trained. They were going to travel one way or another. You either get trained in California or you travel and go get trained somewhere else.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seemed weird to me. But that's how my brain works. I'm a weirdo. Okay. Well, you guys, that is our recap of what? This was season 5, episode 7?
7.
Yep. 2 ghost stories, a lost love,
Amnesia.
and amnesia. It's a lot of unsolved mysteries.
Not real amnesia, though.
Okay. So for our chitty chat time with Ben this afternoon, evening, or morning, whenever you're listening to this, your drive to or from work or while you're cleaning your kitchen, we are just past the 6-month mark of the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping / disappearance. And Ben and I, for anyone who's new, live in Tucson, Arizona. We are in Pima County where this is happening. We've talked about it before on the podcast, and we've had some quote unquote breaking news, including an interview with Sheriff Smarty Pants Nanos.
You kind of said that like we've had an interview with him.
Oh, I wouldn't interview that man if my life depended on it. But locally, they've released a new interview with Sheriff Nanos.
It appeared that they were the ones that the sheriff department did it and then released it, I think, on their Twitter.
They have a Twitter, which is called X account.
I'm not on
with it.
X.
Okay, neither am I. And they have also released 2, count them, 2 ransom notes. And I believe there was a little blurb about an update on the DNA that they have found. So we thought we'd take a moment to kind of just discuss. Ben and I haven't looked super deep into this. I will say also the 2 men that were detained and questioned early on during that first couple of weeks of Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. Both of the affidavit for those detainees or arrest warrants or whatever, far probable cause affidavit that you can get to, those are both still technically sealed. I've checked, you cannot get access to them yet. One of them, the man that was in Rio Rico, was actually suing the sheriff's department. I don't, again, know under what terms because that hasn't been released, even what they had on him originally. So let's talk about it. Ben, you asked me earlier today if I knew that they had the 2 ransom notes have been released. We're 6 months in. Last time we talked about it, you and I kind of talked about some maybe possibilities. We didn't really land on any theories because we don't have enough information. 6 months into this, do you have any other additional thoughts or anything that has entered into your mind since then? Since the last time we kind of chatted about it?
I haven't thought a lot about it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, it's still a very interesting and strange case.
Yeah.
Personally, it appears that Nanos botched this.
Yeah, it does. It appears to be that way. And I think a lot of people realized that very quickly. I actually thought about this earlier, kind of before the ransom notes had been released. So a couple days ago, I watched the new documentary on Netflix about the Idaho 4, which was very well done. The thing I liked about the new documentary, is that there is actually the main FBI guy, the detective. He's it says former, so I'm guessing he's retired. And the police, chief of police, are both interviewed. And I always like to hear from the men and women that were on scene and working. I did think it was very interesting because when the Idaho 4 murders first happened, I remember being like, they didn't release a lot of information. They kept actually things very, very quiet to the point where a lot of us were confused. You and I had conversations because they came out pretty early on and said that they didn't believe that anybody else was at risk. They thought that this was like a targeted attack versus a potential multiple attack. They believed that kids were safe in the area, so on and so forth. And I remember thinking, how in the heck can you make such a bold statement so early on? Because for someone to walk into a house and take 4 lives, for most of us is not a one-off incident, right? So when the chief of police was interviewed during this documentary, I really appreciated the things and the insight that he shared. Obviously, now that this case is closed and we know that Brian Koberger pled guilty.
Have you heard the news on him?
You know what? That man can rot in hell for all I care. And anyone out there, I will die on this hill, that is a Brian Koberger sympathizer can go suck on a rock. Because that man is a classic psychopath. There is so much evidence, including forensic and digital evidence, that this man was involved in this. Yeah, no. Brian Koberger can sit on his thumb and rotate for all I care. He's trying to revoke his guilty plea, which is just not how the criminal system works. Anyways, that's another here and there. I think the big takeaway from me watching that documentary was the very first thing this chief of police said was, I need help. This is not what we handle in our police station on a day-to-day or week-to-week or even month-to-month basis. And while I trust and support my men and women that work under my department, we could use the support. And the very first phone call he made was to the state police. And like within a day, they called the FBI and asked for help and support. They were still able to take lead, and they were able to have the support of these two other agencies that have a lot more money and resources behind them. The biggest difference I've seen in the way Sheriff Nanos, first off, appeared to be the VIP of the story, centering himself as the main character in this story, doing every press conference, everything, putting himself in front of the camera, me. Loving, he seemed to absorb the spotlight and actually barricaded the FBI and other federal agencies from helping. And I think it ended up potentially costing this woman her life, if not potentially causing the Guthrie family from ever getting the answers that they are entitled to.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't dived into this. So they've released the notes.
Mm-hmm.
I read one article on it, and
Okay.
I've been trying. I haven't read the notes exactly. I was actually just looking it up. It appears that the first note was sent on February 2nd, saying what they'd done and giving details.
I will say, they released these notes that were sent to news agencies, but no agency has actually verified the validity of these notes. Does that make sense in what I'm saying? These notes could still be hoaxes. Are you looking them up right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And the notes, to me, are written by two different people. The tone in them is vastly different between the two. The very first one is like, your mom's life is in your hands. Give us $4 million or she dies. Like, we took her, blah, 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 blah. We know what we're doing. And then the second note is like, we had no idea that kidnapping a woman that was almost 90 years old that needed daily medication and like couldn't walk far on her own would not react in a positive light to being kidnapped. And she died the day we took her, and she's now in nature. So which is it? Because you were asking for $4 million in the first note, saying that they had like 72 hours or something to respond. And then the second note, you're saying that she died basically within like a day of taking her.
Yeah, but in the first note, it's sent on February 2nd, and they talk about her white Apple Watch at the foot of the bed.
Yeah.
Which, the only people that would know that is the family and the police.
Yeah.
And it was sent pretty darn close to the beginning before this blew up.
Yeah.
And then the the second note was sent on February 6th, which it appears that they were just like, hey.
But they sound remorseful, like that we didn't intend for her to die. We didn't intend for anyone to get hurt. I'm like, well, which is, you don't take a woman in the middle of the night and then don't intend anything bad to happen.
Which, if these notes are crazy, if they're true, then she was targeted for her daughter. And why her?
But if this note came out on the 2nd and was given to everybody, why didn't anybody pay the ransom?
I don't know.
Was the family told not to pay the ransom? Did they choose not to pay it?
Didn't they release something asking for proof of life?
I'm trying to remember because there was a couple Instagram videos. There was I think one at one point, but I don't think it was right after the first note.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's been hard because Pima County has been great with releasing things. And when they do release them, they're way, I don't know. They've botched this from day one. Nanos is not good at his job. He cares way too much about the politics and about being the center of attention. My heart breaks for this family because I don't know. I don't know if paying a ransom note would have fixed anything, but I can tell you what, you'll never know because you didn't pay it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
So many kidnapping stories we cover that have ransom notes. The families, the very first, they all get they get the money.
But it's also at the same time, it's really hard to believe that is what happened at the beginning. You're thinking, what?
Yeah, but if your net worth is 10, 12, 14, 15 million, what's 4 million?
I don't know. I'm just saying. And you don't know what they were being advised to do or not do by the FBI, the Pima County Sheriff's Department.
I don't know. And
what they were being told
is that Nanos in his interview made some weird comment about maybe this will take 50 years to solve. Do I want to take 50 years to solve? No, but could it? Maybe.
That's not what you say.
What?
I didn't read that or see that, but
I saw a clip of it.
But that's not what you say.
You just don't say that, right?
No.
First off, that makes me think that you have nothing. So the other story, and like I said, I haven't done a ton of research on this either. It sounds like that they did recover some DNA and that it didn't hit on any known DNA in the database, which basically just means that person doesn't have a criminal record, or at least it's not a criminal record to the point where they have their DNA in the system. I do wonder if they'll send them to the DNA database that will do familiar DNA on it, which is what happened in the Idaho 4 murders, which is how they were able to get the name Brian Kohberger. And that's the thing that's amazing to me. They did that within weeks, and we are now 6 months.
Yeah, there's a part of me that wants to think that, of course, they would do that. But I don't have a lot of faith in Nanos. But I do have more faith in the people below him that they're doing everything that they can.
Well, and I believe, from my understanding now, the FBI does at least have that DNA because I think they are the ones who finally were able to get it after Nanos had it. I don't know. It's been a mess. It's just been a nightmare. I mean, we're at 6 months here. It's obviously something that is... What was that? If you heard that loud banging noise, what were you doing? Did you just kill a fly?
No. Our kids are sticking their hands underneath the door, and I was sliding something at them to try to scare them.
Our kids are like, you guys have been in there long enough. Okay. I don't know. Let us know what your guys' thoughts are. If we get anything big, I do plan on us maybe sit down and having another conversation. We got a lot of positive feedback for talking about this case. When it first came out, I just thought with it being the 6 months, we could talk about it. I'll be honest, we have multiple friends within multiple agencies within the law enforcement world of Tucson, Arizona. Even from my, what I would quote unquote, inside information, there's nothing out there. No one knows anything. It doesn't seem like they've made hardly any progress on this.
Yeah, maybe. Or they're keeping things really
you got to keep
close.
things real tight.
Close to the chest. Because it's so big, you have to keep it very close to the chest.
But Nanos also loves to brag about himself. I have a feeling if there was something good, he would be the first one to actually share it.
Which makes me think that if anyone's going to make some headway, it'll probably be the FBI, and they will keep it very close to the chest.
FBI's good about that. Yeah, because like I said, I mean, watch that Netflix documentary, you guys, and you will see the vast difference in how the two...
I was very impressed with the Idaho murder ones. Mm-hmm. I did dive into that one. I read that one. I followed that one.
Yeah, I actually think you'd really like the documentary.
And I was impressed the way they handled it. The people that got involved, everyone, I think they did a good job.
Yeah.
And they clearly did a good job because they got the guy. Mm-hmm. And they got him pretty quickly. And they built a really good case on him.
Yeah. How do you feel about the news that's going on with him right now? Him trying to get his conviction overturned or his guilty plea overturned.
That absolutely sounds like a narcissist.
Yeah.
Like a crazy psychopath.
Yeah. Who thinks he's the smartest idiot in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. It just is a ploy.
I think it drives him crazy to find out actually how quickly his quote unquote perfect murder was actually him being...
I just think it's his way of putting his name back in the headlines because that's what he wants.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's his way of grabbing headlines and being talked about again because technically he's not talked about a lot anymore because the case is done and he's in jail.
Yeah. And
it's
everyone
over.
Thinks he's a loser.
Well, he is.
Yeah. You're a nobody.
So it's just one way of trying to...
Yeah, when you're a weak, pathetic little man, you have to do anything you can to try to get attention. And we just all roll our eyes at you. Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's all of our current true crime chitter chat for this episode. Real quick, before we sign off, if anyone is still listening, please follow us on social media. Like us, follow us, leave us a 5-star review, yada, yada, yada. And make sure to join us again here next week, where Ben and I will recap another episode of
Unsolved Mysteries.
Bye.